Hi, welcome to this training video on keeping children safe. In this video, we'll talk about how we can safeguard our children in our churches. Firstly, we'll consider how to do recruitment for children's ministry teams, and secondly, we'll look at three key aspects of our interaction with children. In our churches, we're entrusted with the care of many children, and sadly, children are vulnerable to physical, emotional and sexual harm in the very places where they should feel safe. And particularly vulnerable are younger children and children with disabilities. The recent scandals in this area involving decades of abuse by celebrities and leaders of organisations, including Christian churches, prove we can't bury our heads in the sand. In fact, resistance within organisations to deal properly with abuse has resulted in many more children being abused and for much longer. And it's not just an historical problem, children are still being abused. So in 2014, the NSPCC reported that about 50,000 calls are received by Childline from children in the Christmas period alone. They also receive about 18,000 calls annually concerning sexual abuse. 6,600 UK children were identified as needing protection from physical abuse. 130,000 UK children are living in households with a high risk of domestic abuse. And it's estimated that as many as 1 in 20 UK children have been sexually abused, over 90% of whom by someone they know. And let's not pretend that this couldn't happen in our churches or in nice Christian homes, because sadly it does. So, keeping children safe. We can do a number of things. Let's look at the process of recruitment for children's ministry teams, and secondly, our interaction with children. So, firstly, recruitment. When someone inquires about joining one of our teams to work regularly with children, we insist that they've been in regular attendance at church for at least a term. This just means that we get to know them. We then interview people and explain what the role is about. Finally, we ask the candidate to complete an application form and take up 2 references. So anyone arriving at church with the intention of abusing children will probably be put off by these procedures. And we also have to complete a DBS or disclosure and barring service check. Now what this does is to look through the police records for any prosecutions for or suspicions of abuse of children. To get started with this, you can go to www.gov.uk. And only when we've received the necessary checks will we allow the candidate to start. For internationals, we ask them to settle at church for longer, for a whole year. That's because the DBS system is much less reliable for people from abroad. We still take up 2 references from their home church. So we've looked at recruitment, mainly the responsibility of church leaders, but my next point is relevant for all of us, our interactions with children. And there are 3 key things to remember. Keep our actions public, keep our physical contact to a minimum, and know what to do if a child discloses abuse. Let's look at these in turn. So firstly, we need to keep our actions public. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're alone with a single child, or don't leave a fellow leader with a single child. All of our groups will have at least 2 adults leading, and we comply with the required ratios. But plan, how are you going to do toilet trips with preschool children? What we do is to make sure there's enough leaders to do the toilet trip with 2 adults and leave 1 or 2 to care for the remainder. Now, if you don't have enough leaders, you might try to position the leaders you have in open doorways. All this is important to maintain accountability to each other and so minimise the risk of abuse or a false accusation. Now, electronic communication, for example, Facebook or email, is another thing to give careful attention to. This is relevant for those working with older children. Remember that the principle is to keep it public, so make sure that any contact is always copied into parents or other leaders, and avoid any over-friendly language. Secondly, keep physical contact to a minimum. Sometimes small children want to cuddle up to us or hold hands, etc. And at other times a child might need reassurance if they've been accidentally hurt during a game or activity. And there is nothing wrong with that if it's led by the child. But we must make sure that we're in full view of other leaders and look for a sensitive and early opportunity to end the physical contact. And for older children, teenagers, we should be avoiding physical contact unless it's a reassuring hand on a shoulder or we need to prevent injury to them or someone else. And thirdly, we need to know what to do if a child discloses abuse or we suspect that abuse is happening. This is crucial. So imagine a situation where a child trusts you enough to want to tell you that they're being mistreated in some way, whether that's through neglect or physical or emotional or sexual abuse. What we do in that situation is really important. Now here's a 5-point plan, the initial letters of which spell TRAMS to make it easier to remember. Number 1, take it seriously. Listen carefully to what the child has to say, take it seriously, even if a well-respected church member is implicated. Number 2, reassure them that they've done the right thing, but don't promise to keep it a secret, even if a child asks you to. You see, there are 2 types of secret, aren't there? There are good secrets about birthday presents and fun surprises, but there are bad secrets when someone is being hurt. And we can't promise to keep that secret. Thirdly, ask questions to clarify so that you're clear about the key facts, but ask reflecting questions, don't ask leading questions. So, for example, let's imagine that a child says to you that someone in the church has been doing bad things to them. A damaging leading question would be, "Oh, is that Reverend Smith?" Please don't lead them where they weren't intending to go. Instead, ask clarifying questions, something like, "Oh, I see, would you like to tell me more?" Number 4, make notes straight after the discussion, including dates, times, names, etc. And number 5, seek help. You must pass it on. We're not qualified or experienced enough to handle these things, but in our church we have designated people with the training to deal with them. In our church meeting rooms there are child safety cards, usually near the door. On those are the names and telephone numbers of people to contact if you have any concerns about the safety of the children in our care. It's really important to report what you've been told only to one of those designated people. If we start telling others, then it quickly becomes damaging gossip. And if parents or church leaders or congregation or even one of the people on that contact list are implicated, then please don't tell them. Now, the one number that's always available is a really useful 24-hour helpline for CCPAS, the Church's Child Protection Advisory Service. It's 0845 120 4550. And seek help if you suspect that abuse is happening, even if it's not been disclosed to you. There'll be a list of signs and symptoms of abuse at the end of this video. The sad thing is that the vast majority of children who suffer abuse do so at the hands of people they know in the home or elsewhere. And the recent scandals have highlighted how abusers have continued unchecked for years because the children are reluctant to tell someone and because people won't believe that that respectable person could be capable of such a thing. This side of heaven, sin is a reality. And so we need to believe that people are capable of abusing children. That way, you will report abuse if it's disclosed to you. After all, the best way to protect the reputation of the church is to protect the children. So there we have it. We've looked at keeping our children safe, regarding recruitment for children's ministry teams, and 3 key aspects of our interaction with children. I hope that's been helpful. Do check out our other videos in this series on how to do children's ministry, and thank you for watching.